Moving on to UCLA and Oregon, one of the games of the weekend and one of the best games we've seen on the West Coast in quite a while. This is the first top 10 matchup involving Pac-12 teams since 2016. I was surprised by that as well, I might add, because I do feel like there have been some good teams, but the first top 10 matchup between Pac-12 foes in 6 years. Remember, that was the last year that the Pac-12 sent a team to the college football playoff. Okay, so it's been a while. They had a couple of games in 2016, by the way, that involved top 10 teams, but man, it's been a while since we've seen a game of this magnitude being played amongst Pac-12 foes. UCLA's lost 12 in a row against AP top 10 teams. Their last win came in 2010 against number 7 Texas. It's been a while since the Bruins have been able to get it done in a big-time game like this. Remember, UCLA's been on a fairly difficult stretch now, y'all. 3-game stretch in which they beat Washington, they beat Utah, and they're looking to win 3 straight games against AP-ranked opponents for just the third time in school history. They did it in 2001. They did it in 1952. So it's been more than 20 years since they did it, and it's been 70 years since they did it the time before that. We're talking about kind of an uncharted territory here for UCLA as far as quality opponent, quality opponent, quality opponent. 3 straight. If they can get it done, we're talking about a legit college football playoff contender. The other thing, too, it's the first time UCLA's had to leave the Rose Bowl. I mean, it feels like, they've had a road game. Yeah, but it was at Colorado. Not that dissimilar to what we just talked about with Ole Miss. Like, man, hey, no disrespect to Georgia Tech, no disrespect to Vanderbilt, but is Colorado going to provide the atmosphere that Autzen Stadium's going to provide? I mean, after all, more on Autzen in a minute, but Oregon's been pretty good at home for quite a while. The one reason why I feel really good about UCLA is we know their rushing attack's legit, but I love how Dorian Thompson-Robinson displayed. Now, there have been moments in his career that have been a little bit up and down, a little bit of a roller coaster, but right now, he is second in college football in completion percentage, completing nearly 75% of his passes. You couple that with what they're doing out of the backfield with Charbonnet and Kaz. They have a lot of speed, and they utilize a lot of misdirection. You know who also used misdirection against Oregon? That would be Georgia. And I think this is the best personnel by a fairly wide margin that Oregon's seen since that Georgia game, and we all know how that one went. Now, you look at where Chip Kelly's at. I think we also have to acknowledge the fact that he's played, or he obviously coached at Oregon in the past. Since he's taken over at Westwood, though, he's 0-5 against AP top 10 opponents. The most recent defeat coming against Oregon. And when he was in Eugene, he was a whole lot better against top 10 foes. He was 6-3 against top 10 teams when he was the head coach of the Ducks. Let's talk a little bit about Oregon. Bo Nix has been really good these last 5 games. Both teams, honestly, excellent running the football. UCLA is averaging 212 yards a game. Oregon's averaging 242. Both teams right now are averaging more than 5.5 yards per carry. And what I love most, you have the top 2 rushing teams in the Pac-12 and the top 2 rushing defenses in the Pac-12 that are squaring off. So it's good on good. Let's see what happens. The opponent rushing yards per game, both teams are holding the opponent under 100. UCLA gives up 99. Oregon gives up 98. And then yards per rush, UCLA gives up 3.1 yards per carry. Oregon gives up 3.7. These are the tops in the Pac-12. So I think it's really going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds. But man, when I look at everything and I look at every single aspect of this game, I know that the home field advantage for Oregon is significant. They've won 22 straight games in Autzen Stadium. That's the 3rd longest streak in the country. The longest right now resides in Clemson, South Carolina. The 2nd longest is in Cincinnati, Ohio. All right. Those are the 2 longest win streaks. Autzen Stadium is 3rd. However, I don't know who Oregon's beaten yet. I know they lost badly week 1, and they've regrouped since then. But remember, it required a furious rally against Washington State, and I like Washington State, but a furious rally in the 4th quarter to pull off that game. And you couple it with the fact that they also smoked BYU, and that's when the goodwill kind of started up again for Oregon. But what has BYU proven to be? Kind of overrated at this point of the season. So I look at this game. I think UCLA is more battle-tested. I also think UCLA will utilize some of that misdirection in their run game. And I think UCLA gets it done on the road, ending that win streak for the Oregon Ducks in Autzen Stadium.